Welcome to the Business Spotlight. Today we're joined by Simon Burridge from Cherrywood Productions, a
Hello.
multi-award-winning visual storytelling company, and really excited to have you on the show,
Oh,
Simon.
thank you. Thank you. Lovely to see you again.
Yeah, and I'm really looking forward to hear a bit more about your business journey, and kind of the creative process and everything that goes into what it is that you do. So let's dive right in. What do you do, for how long, and how's things been up to this point?
Right. Okay. So my company is called Cherrywood Productions. I found it in 2004. So we're on our 21st. No, what is that? 25, 21 years. Yeah, 21 years this year. Originally, I started it to be a wedding videographer. And then I met my second wife, who was a photographer. I thought that's quite handy. I'll marry her. And she's a wedding photographer, or photographer as such. So I started off with just filming weddings for the first 8 years, 7, 8 years. Became quite successful in that. And then I moved on to other things like company promotional videos, um, uh, training videos, site safety videos, everything like that. And I've got to be honest, if I just did weddings, it would drive me insane. I'm one of those people that has to do different things all the time. The company over the 20 years has changed quite a bit. We now have a podcast which has been going for a year, which me and my wife host, and we've got 190,000 subscribers in the first 13 months. So that's going really well. And that is just to give people an insight of what we do. We have guests on like yourself, but it also, shows potential bride and grooms or potential businesses, our character, which I think is really important, and what we can do for them.
Excellent. You mentioned Rachel there. So, working as a married couple in a business, what's some of the challenges, and how do you both overcome that?
You know what the challenges are? They're honesty, because who are you the most honest with? You're the most honest with your partner. So things can get a little bit hairy at times. If you were dealing with someone that you were not married to, just happened to be someone in business, a normal co-employee, you'd be a little bit more tactful with the way you talk. um, so, but with your wife and with your husband, you can literally say what you're thinking, which can get a bit hard. But I love every day that I work with her. She's the perfect partner, and we work as the perfect team in my eyes. And those results seem to come through when you see our reviews, especially weddings. We come together really well, keeping the bride and groom nice and calm on their day, because it surprises us, but there's a high percentage of people just don't want to be filmed, don't want their photos taken, but know they have to on their wedding day. So, yeah, yeah, honesty is really the hardest thing.
Excellent. And what would you say, Simon, makes you stand out from others in the industry? Because there's quite a lot of wedding photographers around. So what would you say makes you different?
I think it's our passion and our reliance, and also our character. The reason we started the podcast up is because we were going to weddings. We had to pick like a double act. I forgot to mention something early on. I've also written, directed a couple of comedies, a couple of comedy pilots, and I've got a best director and best producer for a couple of those. So I'm always a bit of a comedian. Rachel tries to pretend she isn't a comedian, but she loads the bullets for me, and I'm the one that fires them. So she whispers something funny in my ear, and I'm stupid enough to say it. But when we're at weddings, we act like a double act. I often say, Rachel's doing well, isn't she? It's her first day taking photos. She's never taken photos before. And they just laugh and they get relaxed. And one of the comments couples say to us is like, we wish we knew you guys beforehand. If we knew you guys beforehand, we'd have been comfortable in the first moment, and it wouldn't have taken an hour or so to get us comfortable. And the best, most successful photos are the ones where they're actually comfortable, they're happy to be there, and they're not rigid, worried about, how the photos are going to come out. our character shines off on them. So that's why I would say we're different from the others. That was one of the reasons why we started the podcast as well, so people got to know our character beforehand.
Yeah, I quite like that. It's kind of, because you are the product in essence,
Yeah.
and getting
And
people to know that beforehand. Really
yeah, and
good.
bringing us back to business challenges, us being the product makes it a lot harder for us to hire other people in.
Yeah.
We would hire people in on the last possible opportunity. Really, we wouldn't like to. It's Rachel and I is what they're purchasing. Um, if we're ill, then obviously we'll get someone in, and they've always been understanding, and it's always been very rare. Or if we're booked also at a wedding, I have other people that have shot our wedding that we were hiring, but the
Mm,
couple will be told about that straight away, so they know they're not getting this product, they're getting
mm.
another one, but they know we're going to be the ones that are doing the final edit.
Yeah, yeah. Um, so what advice would you give to someone looking to start out in your industry?
Um, it's a strange industry. It's an industry where you can have one camera and you can charge £300 and go and shoot someone's wedding. And then you can have a more established company and charge £9,000 to go and shoot someone's wedding. It's very strange. Um, so someone starting out, be prepared. In the 20 years, I've never failed. Oh God, I'm going to touch wood here, Alida. In the 21 years, I've never failed to shoot someone's wedding and have their product. I've never had a. I've had cameras fail, but I've always had backups. If you go to a wedding and shoot with one camera and you're new to it, then you're crazy. You're crazy because you are risking everything. Um, my advice would be always be nervous on a wedding because you're shooting the best day of someone's life. And me personally, the day I'm not nervous shooting someone's wedding is the day I will stop shooting someone's wedding, because if you haven't got that bit of nerve that you're going to not capture their day, then something will go wrong and you've not been prepared for it. So I shoot with multiple cameras on important parts of the wedding, like the ceremony and the speeches. I've had cameras fall over before, the battery's flown out, and I've had other angles that have captured that moment until I've got that camera back up and running. Multiple mics, things like that. So that's the advice I would give someone in our business. Be prepared. Make sure you've got enough equipment. When I started out, um, I always had two cameras, but I had everything on auto, like an amateur, because I really enjoyed filming and editing. And I got married originally in 2000, and I filmed our honeymoon and edited our honeymoon. So I've been editing since 2000. So that's 25 years. And 4 years just doing it as a hobby. But it's not until you do it as a profession that I'm still learning now, basically. I'm still learning now different camera techniques and things like that. So I can't watch a movie now, Alida, without breaking it down and working out how they've edited it. It's a nightmare. It's a nightmare.
Yeah. I can
Hopefully
imagine.
that's answered your question. I can't even remember the
Yeah, it's
question,
great
Alida.
advice. Really, really good advice. And I think very relatable, even not in the same industry. Always have a backup if you're doing important work for your customer.
Mm.
So building a business, right? 20 years on, what works for you? What hasn't worked for you in the past? So yeah, managing and building a business.
Um, you've got to outsource a bit of things. For a long time, I was doing absolutely everything. I now outsource my accounting. I outsource a tiny bit of editing when it comes to the podcast. I'll happily film the podcast. I will happily edit the podcast as a whole. But then, this day and age, you've got TikTok, you've got Instagram, and they like little short videos. I outsource that now because there are people that know a little bit more on what is required for those media platforms, and they know what will capture the eye of a viewer, which therefore then brings you into lots of views and people going onto your channel and subscribing, which is what we want. We want the subscribers. So yeah, outsourcing I think would be the main thing for me, because yeah, for the first 10 years I was doing absolutely everything, The only thing we wasn't doing was creating the photo album. We were doing the lot, but creating a photo album, you really do need someone to start printing that for you. So what you'll get when we had our wedding, this is Rachel and I. We got married in 2012. We paid for our photographer, and he's a friend of ours, a good guy. His prices were a lot higher than ours were at the time. But the reason for that is what he was taking the photo on the day. He'd send someone out to do the colouring. He'd send someone out to edit the album. I think they did a. I think he edited the photos a little bit, but he got them coloured, and he had a lot of overheads. Our overheads were a lot smaller because we want to be involved in the edit. We want to be involved in the colouring. So our prices were always a bit more competitive than our competitors, really, because we wanted to do that stuff. But like I say, we were doing everything. You've got to outsource what you believe will give you some space and time in your business, but also without ruining your niche, and your style. So that's it, I think.
Yeah, that's brilliant advice there, and a real golden nugget that you're sharing. Um, Simon, biggest mistake you've made in business, and what did
Oh,
you learn from it?
biggest mistake I made in business. So I think the biggest mistake we made once again was trying to do everything. Was trying to do everything. It takes up a lot of your time when you could be selling your product. You're doing the accounts, which is crazy. You're making adverts. You're designing backdrops for wedding fairs when you could be selling your product. So it's time management, I would say, was the biggest mistake for us. And yeah, we've changed that now, and we are now being able to concentrate on giving the product to the customer.
Yeah, that's something that really resonates there, and I think a lot of people will find that helpful. It's kind of, using your time for high value tasks like selling your products. So
Mhm.
brilliant advice there. Thank you. Where do you see Cherrywood Productions in the next 5 years? So what does the future hold?
So we seem to be going into more events and award ceremonies and podcasts. I'm in the middle of a talk about moving the podcast onto one of the TV channels, which is amazing news. Um, if I'm honest, we only approached them so we could have a little interview to talk about the podcast. They love the podcast so much that they actually want to put it on their schedule. So that's brilliant news. We do enjoy doing it. As I get older, and I mean 60s maybe, it may be just a podcast that we do. We'll see. We'll see. Um, like I said earlier, we have to do a number of different things. So there will be more comedy projects. There'll be some documentaries that I'm already looking into. I love to mix it up. Weddings are still very strong with us. We have a product in the wedding industry that no one else does, which is interactive photo albums. Where you pass your phone over certain pictures, and that moment in time, say it's the first dance, you pass your phone over it, that moment in time comes to life, and that video plays through your phone on the album. So it looks like the picture's moving, which is something we've always done well at. So we always adapt things like the album, the style. So in 5 years' time, I can just see it evolving like it has over the last 21 years.
Yeah, sounds like a really exciting time ahead. So looking forward to keeping an eye on what more comes from Cherrywood. Rapid fire, here we go. What's the
Okie
key to
doke.
success for you?
Key to success is honesty. Don't put your head in the sand. If a customer has a question or um, don't really get really complaints, but if a customer has an issue, or if you've got an issue, if you've got a problem with, like, say, Rachel's become ill, tell them straight away. Just be honest with your customer. That's all they want. All they want is honesty. The amount of businesses I've seen that have an issue and they're holding up the customer and they put their head in the sand and try and avoid talking to the customer. It's crazy. They just want to know. They understand that life can change and you get bumps in the road. All you've got to do is be honest. There's ways of
Mm.
overcoming everything.
Simon, what's a really good book that you've read that you can recommend to others?
I used to be really into autobiographies. And the strange thing is, I used to be into a lot of wrestling autobiographies of professional wrestlers like The Rock and Ric Flair and um, the Heartbreak Kid and things like that. And they're really interesting because, all right, it's still a business at the end of the day and they're their own product. And the struggles that they went through captivates me. You know, we all know that wrestling, I wouldn't say it's fake, but wrestling is an act, but they're still jumping off a 15-foot ladder. So they've got to know what they're doing, you know, and half of their troubles are, you know, keeping fit, fitness, not having to take drugs that are illegal just to keep them going, you know, those sort of things. Those sort of stories captivate me and how these guys can wrestle for 30, 40 years. Also, I listen to a lot of podcasts. So the Joe Rogan podcast is one of my favorite because I think he's born on the same day as me. Well, not actually the same day. We share the same birthday. And he has a diverse guests. He has diverse guests on. Let me say that again. So we've shared the same birthday, and he has guests on from all walks of life. So he's into MMA fighting. He has conspiracy theorists on. He even has the current president of the United States on, and I find those quite captivating. I love the way there's no time frame. Some of his podcasts go on for 3.5 hours. And we modeled ours around that. We try and keep it relaxed. It's the podcast stops when it stops, you know. So yeah, I like a good conspiracy. I don't necessarily believe them, but I like a good conspiracy. So that's what I read. That's what I learn from. Especially the guests he has on. He has some amazing people on that have achieved some amazing things. So I find them very captivating.
No, no, excellent. Podcasts they're fantastic, aren't they? You know, and there's
Yeah.
some really good ones out there, like Cherrywood.
Oh, bless. Thank you. You've
So
got to say, am I paying you to say that, Alida? I don't think I'm paying.
no, it's a barter agreement. um, right. What inspires you, Simon?
Creativity inspires me.
Mm.
I love to be creative. And I love the fact that my family and all my children are exactly the same. And they inspire me as well. Just watching them come up with their own ideas. When I was younger, I thought I was the only one that come up with the good ideas. And then I watched my children come up with some amazing things and do some amazing things. And they inspire me more than anything. And my wife inspires me, even though she's the one that whispers the bad things in my ear and makes me say them in comedies that I write. Yeah, they're my inspiration. Family, friends. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. If you could magically improve one area of your business today, what would it be?
I think the main things that I would improve is the efficiency of our workflow, um, particularly on how we manage content creation, that time of thing, streamlining the production, you know. But what concerns me, you start streamlining these things, they start, in my opinion, feeling more robotic. You know, my editing is based on me, my soul, my character. If you start streamlining these things, you start templating these things, then you lose the soul and character. Every wedding I film, I edit based on the character of the couple. I don't want to lose that. I could quite easily create templates that say, right, they're turning up here, they're having their ceremony here, they're having their speeches here, and they're having their first dance here, and every wedding could look exactly the same. For a streamlining point of view, that would be amazing. But from a creativity point of view, that's just not how we work. We want everyone's wedding to reflect them. And we know their character based on the chat we have with them, the music they dance to on their first dance, and just their character on the day. And I don't want to lose that. So as much as I would like to improve the efficiency, it's a little bit hard when I want to Cherrywood Productions to remain the same and to remain creative like it is.
Yeah, yeah. No, absolute makes a lot of sense. And yeah, a lot. I think a very fresh perspective because you're right. People are very much wanting to automate everything now, right?
Yeah,
For
yeah.
efficiency. But it may not be the best for the business going forward. Um, Anything you'd like to share about product services, anything that's coming up, some exciting things in the pipeline you'd like people to know about?
Yeah, well, like I said, the podcast is doing very well. It's out every Friday. We have guests from business mainly. We have quite a few wedding vendors guests, which is also good. We're going to be having slightly diverse ones. We've had people from EastEnders on. We've interviewed Danny Dyer on a charity football match. We've even gone and spent the weekend with a what am I trying to say? A stock car team, where you smash cars up and race, that sort of thing. We had a weekend with them, which was amazing. We did a podcast on them. And the future is we got a private investigator coming on, which is going to be amazing. If we link up with the channel, I'm sure we'll get a lot more different sort of guests like that. But we always like to keep it business aligned, so we always discuss their business first and how they got to where they are today, which I always think's good. So that's the podcast. Cherrywood Productions, like I say, is moving forward a lot now. We're doing a lot more sponsoring for things like the Pride in Medway Awards. We're sponsors for that, which we're very proud of. We've got very good relations now with local MPs and leaders of the council, which is always a great thing. And yeah, the podcast has really brought us out in the community, and we're very proud of that. And we're proud to be serving the community as well.
Yeah, I know. I agree. I think you're doing really amazing stuff. So thanks for all the work that you do, both to you and Simon and Rachel. Thank you so much. I'm really, again, very happy and grateful that you came on today. Thanks, Simon.
No problem. Anytime. Thank you very much.